Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar on EuroPrivacy Certification and its role in demonstrating GDPR compliance. I'm Alan Calder. I'm your host for this afternoon. I'm the founder of IT governance, and my background is in cybersecurity and privacy, some 20 or 25 years. In it's written a bunch of books, done an awful lot of work around the world of cybersecurity, and I hope that in this presentation, most of which is going to be given by someone far more expert than I, we can help you all get a firm grip on the benefits that EuroPrivacy certification can bring to your organization. Let me just give you to Dr. Tessone for a moment or two, let her introduce herself, and then I'll take you through our agenda for this afternoon. Lauren.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm very proud to be part of it and introduce some core information in regards to the EuroPrivacy certification. As for my background, I am a qualified lawyer in France and Italy, and I have been working in the field of data privacy since more than 10 years. I have been working for a public sector and private sector, and presently I'm acting as managing consultant and head of EU and UK representative services at GRCI Law, that is a specialized service of the company with DPO, which operate on an outsourced mode for companies, and also offering legal services and some other services like support for subject access requests and CIR services.
Thank you, Loredana. So IT governance is an official EuroPrivacy partner, but as a business, we've been going for some 20 years. We've helped about 12,000 clients across all the continents. We're a market leader in GDPR across a very broad range of integrated products and services. We have a comprehensive ISO 27001 offering, and we deal across virtually everything else that goes to enable our clients to tackle the complicated world of cybersecurity and privacy. And we do that through the organizations that make up the GRCI group, but IT governance is the primary brand name, and GRCI Law is our primary GDPR and EuroPrivacy deliverer. Our agenda for today is to try and share with you some of the experience that we've built up across the 1,300 odd projects we've done with clients around the world, the large number of people we've trained on cyber security and on GDPR, the Cyber Essential certifications. We've done an awful lot of work with organizations of all sizes and built up a real ability to help our clients achieve certifications to value-adding business certificates in a way that enables them as a business to perform well. So we have a very pragmatic, practical, focused, supportive approach. And for the next 40 or 45 minutes, we're going to talk you through the key areas of EuroPrivacy, what EuroPrivacy is and how it can benefit you. And at the end of that 45 minutes, we're going to have about 10 or 15 minutes available for Q&A. So you will have found that you're on mute. Please do, if you find that you have questions as we're going through the webinar, in the GoToWebinar panel, which should be on the screen somewhere in front of you, there is a panel called Q&A. If you open that, or called questions, if you open that, you can type any questions you've got into that. When we get to the Q&A session, what we'll do is I'll pick up the questions, I'll read the question out, and then either Loredana or I will answer the question so that everybody on the webinar knows what the question was and what the answer is. So that's the plan. We aim to be finished by pretty well 4 o'clock GMT, 5 o'clock Central European time, and that's the plan for the day. I hope that's going to work well for everybody. The agenda is to look first of all at EuroPrivacy certification, its impact on GDPR compliance. We'll talk in a bit more detail about how to prepare effectively for the EuroPrivacy audit. We'll look at the benefits of EuroPrivacy certification, how CyberComply, it's a compliance platform, can help organizations achieve and maintain EuroPrivacy Certification, and then some of the practical solutions and advice on how to become EuroPrivacy certified. That's the agenda. And the first kind of area really is just to give you a quick introduction to EuroPrivacy. The EuroPrivacy is the first GDPR certification mechanism recognized by the European Data Protection Board. It's a data protection seal. So Article 42 of the regulation allowed for the development of standards or seals that would enable organizations, if they achieve the requirements, to depend on the certification or the seal to demonstrate compliance with GDPR. And that's exactly what EuroPrivacy does. It enables organizations to demonstrate that they are compliant with GDPR and that their data protection activities comply in all of the areas they should do with GDPR, as well as complying with any specific national and regional regulations. Developed for over a period of time by the European Research Programme, co-funded by the European Commission and by Switzerland, which, as many of you will be aware, is part of the broader framework. It's not part of GDPR. It's a separate independent country, but nevertheless, like the UK, its data privacy regulation is very closely modeled on GDPR. It was approved in October 2022, and it's managed, continually updated by the ECCP. It's recognized in all 27 EU member states, so an EU privacy certificate, wherever you're based, will be recognized across the whole European Union. And it's applicable to both data controllers and to data processors. So if you think about it from the perspective of a customer saying, prove to me you're GDPR compliant, you can go, here's my EuroPrivacy certificate. If you're a data processor and a controller client of yours says, I need to know that you're GDPR compliant, you can go, here's my EuroPrivacy certificate. So it can simplify massively the process of demonstrating that you are compliant. One small thing to bear in mind, at the moment, EuroPrivacy certification is available only to organizations that appoint a DPO. And as there are 500,000 DPOs and DPO organizations around the world, that's a very, very big part of the universe. But it's worth bearing in mind, you need to have a DPO to be able to tackle EuroPrivacy certification. So that's the background to the kind of missing out on where slide numbering is. So Laura, are we with you yet, do you think?
Sorry, Alan, not yet.
So I'm going to, because slide numbering is not working, if you just give me a wave when you want to pick up, and then we'll hand over. So for EuroPrivacy certification, organizations have to meet what EuroPrivacy calls its core criteria. The core criteria cover all of the core areas of data processing and data protection. So if you like, the fundamental areas of compliance, lawfulness of data processing, processing of special categories of data, dealing with data subjects' rights, the responsibilities of data controllers and data processors separately, and understanding how those operate and operating them in compliance with GDPR, the security of processing, and of course data protection by design and by default, which is a key area that many organizations that have got themselves compliant haven't necessarily spent much time on. Management of data breaches, particularly with the SEC regulations and with the Network and Information Security Directive, is an increasingly complex area of compliance, let alone of dealing with the reality of a breach. Data protection impact assessments, the role of data protection officers and how they bring value to an organization, transfers of personal data to third countries, of which for many organizations it's transfers to the United States that's particularly complex after the two Schrems EUCJ decisions, and what to do in the new environment, and how do international organizations handle data transfers. So core criteria, everybody's got to do that. Bear in mind that security of data processing isn't just about documentation, it's about being able to demonstrate that your data processing is secure. And where appropriate or applicable, those core criteria complemented by complementary contextual checks to assess technology and domain-specific obligations. So you may have, if you're processing medical data or particular special categories of data, there might be additional areas you need to comply with CCTV regulations. So complementary checks that might deal with those, and of course technical and organizational measures, TOMs, to make sure that you are properly security compliant. And as we'll tell you as we go through the webinar, ISO 27001 is a really good way of dealing with the requirements of demonstrating that you have appropriate technical and organizational measures in place. Like most international standards, EuroPrivacy certifications are valid for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, you can recertify, and they're subject to ongoing compliance visits on an annual basis to demonstrate that you have continuing levels of EuroPrivacy compliance. So that's the broad requirements. It's been trademarked, EuroPrivacy, as an international trademark, and that's because the value of EuroPrivacy as a trademark extends beyond the European Union. Work being done by the owners of EuroPrivacy with regulators in other countries means that you will increasingly be able to have not just certification of your GDPR compliance through a EuroPrivacy certificate, but by extension, it can include in other countries. So it could include the UK. It could include PIPEDA if you're in Canada, for instance. As the EuroPrivacy seal is extended to include those, there are ways in which you can demonstrate that your not just your EU obligations, but your international obligations are met through what then becomes effectively an integrated privacy compliance framework. It's a really powerful tool for organizations looking at how you can tackle demonstrating that you are properly GDPR compliant. So I think this is where you now get to talk to the real experts on GDPR, Loredana.
Thank you, Alan. Just need the basically I will gonna cover how applicants, businesses that would like to have their processing activities certified, need to prepare in order to be audited and therefore apply for the certification and go through the whole process that will end up with delivery of the certification by the certification body. Alan has spoken about the EuroPrivacy core criteria. Those are criteria that will apply for all EuroPrivacy certifications. And basically, as it has been explained, it is based on provision of the GDPR. Therefore, the core criteria are set in order to ensure that the organization that will apply for the certification is implementing GDPR provisions. In addition to those criteria, we have the contextual criteria that may or may not apply. So, for example, the technical and organizational measures, checks and controls may be replaced by the ISO certification if the organization has already a certification that is valid. And also we do have national requirements. So the GDPR is a regulation, we know, and is directly applicable at the national level. However, there are some areas where it is possible that at the national level there are specific piece of legislation provisions. This may be, for example, on age in regards to giving consent, or any or other areas like adding specific categories in sensitive data. There are some differences sometimes, and EuroPrivacy Board of Experts has developed and assessed developed tools and assessed what those specific criteria at a national level would be, and therefore we can check those criteria towards getting the certification. And also we do have complementary checks and controls that will apply whenever the company organization is basically working on a particular field or a particular domain, or as apply technologies that have a specific set of regulations that need to be applied, and therefore they need to be checked. This make the certification very attractive. So this system to have core criteria that applies to everyone, and therefore a contextual set of criteria, because it is possible to establish terms of evaluation in accordance with the owner of certification, and therefore set criteria that are basically covering the field of activities of a company, and therefore it can be like a one-for-all certification, in the sense that the business do not need to go to be assessed by several stakeholders, but could fit the need they have in terms of certification through EuroPrivacy, and setting the terms of evaluation in accordance to what they need in terms of evaluating and scoring their processing activities. And also what is interesting is that stakeholders that participate in the mechanism are themselves certified, as also Anas explained earlier. Therefore, it's really a trust certification, and that is constituting a real improvement in the implementation of the GDPR, because it also helps to uniformize the application of rules in the various member states and beyond of member states. Need to go to the next slide. Oh, too far now. So when an applicant, so an organization, would like to apply for the certification, will need to essentially go through three steps: comply with the GDPR, national regulation where the headquarters of the organization is based, have a DPO. It is a requirement in order to get the certification, and also have a record of data processing activities. And as third, to prepare documentation that is in conformity with the EuroPrivacy criteria. So it is necessary to have a very well understanding on what are the criteria, as we have indicated in the previous slide. And it is an easy process to go through. There are, I have an issue with moving the slide. So it is, as I said, is a easy process to go through. So we need to, as a first, as initial preliminary assessment, to have documentation that can prove our conformity, and this is undertaken not only with the compliance with to the criteria of EuroPrivacy, but also by cooperating with qualified partners and tools, working with consultancy firms that are specialized, so that they have lead implementer and auditors that can support throughout the process. And so this preliminary part, where we prepare the documentation, we get awareness on what is our compliance status, is core, because if we do work well in the preliminary phase, this will mean that the certification process will be quite expeditious. Otherwise, we can face situations where we have non-conformity that are found during the analysis of the situation of the companies, and therefore we need to have remediation and address those problems that have been assessed during the preparation. So it's very important to really understand the criteria and also have appropriate documentations that can demonstrate that we are compliant. Then the second part of the certification process requires that there is an assessment, independent and impartial assessment by auditors that will check the documentation and what are our conclusion, and therefore will be able to certify, and therefore it will be possible for the organization to apply to the certification body in order to get certification. Once the certification is given, this is registered. It has a specific ID number and can be checked through the public register, and therefore it is easy also to conclude business, because of it is easy to demonstrate the compliance level that an organization has. However, the certification, as I said, has a duration of 3 years, and during these 3 years we need to audit every year the level of compliance to demonstrate that we maintain those criteria that are set by EuroPrivacy. And in order to maintain further to the 3 years of the certification, it's necessary to reassess and recertify. However, the process there is quite easier. It's not that complex as it could be for the first certification, especially if we have maintained an audit program. And it may be that in some organization have had the certification, also they have minor non-conformities that have been discussed and accepted, and it has been agreed, for example, that those non-conformities will be addressed during the 3 years. So in order to recertify at that stage, those minor non-compliance need to have been addressed, otherwise can be requalified as a major non-conformities, and therefore there may be an issue in order to obtain the recertification. So it's really important to cooperate with consultancy firms that are specialized and that can monitor on the different phases. So the preparatory one, the assessment and certification one, and then the phase of maintenance and enhancing of the certification and criteria. So here, the 3 phases that I have just described are a bit more detailed. So in the preliminary phase, so we have the application, the definition of the terms of evaluation that can vary if we operate in a specific domain or we use particular technologies. And also here we will gonna look at the documentation. We can develop, of course, the documentation. We have checklists that are elaborated by EuroPrivacy experts, and therefore we need to ensure that all this documentation is in place, but is not only in place, is effectively implemented by the organization. So in the second step, second phase, so the assessment phase, we will gonna look at the core criteria under the GDPR, but also complementary and contextual checks and controls, as well as the technical and organizational measures and national obligation. Here is the auditor that we're gonna basically assess what we have developed and what we have in place in order to follow up then to the step of certification. And then in the surveillance and extension, we have audits that need to be conducted. In practice, as we said, the preliminary phase is the most important. What the organization needs to have in place is a GDPR readiness assessment. So, for example, they can conduct a gap analysis to assess what is the level of compliance they have. The GDPR readiness assessment will help to understand what are the GDPR requirements, the level of compliance overall, identify non-compliance elements that need to be addressed, and also provide a path for prioritization of remediation actions. And the GDPR readiness assessment evaluates the organization data protection governance, so it helps to implement the accountability principle of the GDPR to assess risks that are related to processing activities of personal data, address those risks, would look at resourcing, and would also evaluate the role and responsibilities that departments of the organization would have, the scope of compliance, personal data process, personal information management system, so the set of documentation related to personal information security management system, which touch upon the technical and organizational measures, and also the data subjects' rights, how they are protected, and policies and procedures that we have in place, and their effectiveness to protect in a concrete manner the rights of the data subject. So basically, a GDPR readiness assessment would provide a plan in order to ensure compliance with the GDPR, and this is core in order to progress with the certification. So the other steps, so we have said that the certification count on the core EuroPrivacy criteria is to also look, in addition to the GDPR readiness assessment, to national checks and controls and complementary checks and control. So we need to add that to the GDPR readiness assessment. And for the complementary checks and control, it depends on our core activities as an organization. So if we are using special technologies or we are working on a specific field like clinical trial, for example, we need to take into consideration specific legislation and requirements. And for the national check and controls, we can refer to the tools of EuroPrivacy, of course, and we need to get a report that basically will assess how we implement the national requirement that would apply depending on where our business is located. I'm trying to change the slide. So in order to comply with the national obligation and demonstrate that, we need to have a national obligation compliance assessment report, the so-called NOCAR, in the framework of the EuroPrivacy certification. So the expert at the expert at EuroPrivacy have elaborated a set of tools. So we do have criteria that are set in Excel spreadsheets, but there are also applications that we can use in order to accompany an organization in the process of getting the certifications. This slide show how those instruments looks like. There is also a setted criteria level and labels that are used to facilitate and uniformize how the assessment is conducted. need to change the slide. So the criteria level are set as A when they need to always be assessed for core criteria. B are criteria that need to be implemented because there is a high risk of the data processing that has been identified. This may be for special categories of data, minors of age, and some and etc. So we have a list of data that have sorry, been elaborated by EuroPrivacy. Contextual, so those are criteria that will be basically necessary to implement when we are working on a specific domain and there are specific technologies risks that have been identified. And E is the exemptions, so there are some exemptions that can be claimed by the organization that need to get certified, and those need to be documented, of course, in order to be applicable. And applicable checks and control are also distinguished among mandatory, so will be the core criteria. Mandatory only if the terms of evaluation process special categories of data. Contextual only when we are in a specific domain, and S when are mandatory and just in case of surveillance, audit, and recertification. So during the whole process for certification, as you can see from this graph, the consultancy firm, such as, can basically accompany for the overall process. So the initial stage, so where we work on the documentations and we work on improving the compliance, in the assessment in order to prepare the application, submit the application, support for remediating the non-conformity elements that have been spotted, and also for the monitoring phase while we need to we are already certified, but we need to be audited every year and therefore go through the process for recertification. As regards the benefits for EuroPrivacy certification, there are several that can be mentioned. So the certification would basically allow the business to identify and reduce legal and financial risk through a systematic gap analysis and therefore get compliance of various provisions of the GDPR. Validate and demonstrate GDPR compliance throughout an impartial third-party assessment. Then improve reputation and access to market thanks to the GDPR certification. We know that for a lot of business, basically be able to cooperate and complete contract with partners needs to demonstrate, first of all, their compliance with the GDPR and be able to give guarantees that the personal data will be protected throughout the service and agreement that they have signed. It will also enable to build trust and confidence for the data subject, for partners and stakeholders. It will ease cross-border data transfer. It will help to develop competitive advantage to front-run competitors. Business that will be certified will be preferred comparing to business that are not. Join a GDPR compliant business community. It will also ensure that there is a benefit from continuous compliance and access to international legal and technological experts throughout the EuroPrivacy community. It will enable to reduce risk with the data processor at no cost by requesting their respective certification. and will enable to turn data protection in a source of revenue by creating value with competitive advantages and cost reduction. And we can also give good reasons to choose EuroPrivacy. So EuroPrivacy has been designed in accordance with GDPR, so it's GDPR by design, and has been developed by the European Commission. It is continuously updated, so the board of experts will look at jurisprudence, guidelines, recommendations, national law evolution, and also beyond the EU member states. So therefore, the certification criteria are updated whenever it is necessary. And so it is granted by the certification that the business will maintain up to standards in line with the evolution of guidance and legislation, as well as principles that are enshrined in the jurisprudence. It is extensible to complementary national and domain-specific obligation. So currently we could have universal certification or technology-specific certification. Those certifications are limited comparing to the EuroPrivacy, as we have seen, because the EuroPrivacy certification can be adapted to the business needs and include additional criteria than the core criteria of the GDPR. So it is advantageous comparing to other certifications that may be available and are not approved from supervisory authorities and not in line with the, not recognized to be GDPR by design. And is applicable to emerging technologies, is highly reliable with systematic assessment, and it's also so there are many good reasons really to choose EuroPrivacy as a certification. And Alan, I will hand over to you for the cyber compliance bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, so thank you, Loredana. We turn now to the ways in which you can go about actually implementing what may look to you like a complicated process of preparing for certification. GDPR is a complicated piece of law, and what EuroPrivacy does, in fact, is make it an awful lot simpler for you to demonstrate that you are compliant. Part of doing that is how you go about using tools. Tools and platforms are a key part of building, particularly in today's multi-framework, multi-regulation, multi-client demand environment, an integrated compliance framework that delivers value to the organization in a way that doesn't require you to deploy lots and lots of people. At the heart of that concept is a platform like CyberComply. And CyberComply is simply a cloud-based platform that is designed to do effectively three things. The first is to be a repository of all of the key bits of the relevant regulation. So it won't have all of a regulation, for instance. If the regulation only partially deals with cybersecurity and privacy, it'll have the relevant cybersecurity and privacy components in it, and it will link them together so that when you're thinking about how you comply with a requirement around protecting data subject rights, if that same requirement appears in 2 or 3 of the laws that are in an area that you are in, regions that you have to operate in, then CyberComply will be able to identify a way in which you can do that once and meet 3 sets of requirements. So that's the first thing it does. It integrates legal requirements. The second thing it does is it links legal and regulatory requirements to cyber risk and cyber risk assessments. So it's got a built-in risk assessment tool, which enables you to assess the plethora of yesterday, today, and tomorrow's cyber risks, to link them to key assets, and to think about how you deal with those risks in the context not only of the risk to the organization, but what regulation requires you to do. So it enables you to integrate privacy and cybersecurity. And that, of course, is the key for all organizations tackling cybersecurity and privacy in today's environment, is how do you go about integrating them. The third thing that CyberComply does is make it easy for you to do those things. So not only does it have a risk assessment tool, but it has tools for doing things like a data protection impact assessment, for managing data subject access requests. Won't do the detailed DSAR itself because that requires other technology, but it'll enable you to manage a subject access request. It will enable you to do that thing Article 30 requires, which is to map your data flows, both within the EEA and also internationally, and be able to identify what risks it has at what boundaries, and to keep an Article 30 record. It will enable you, there's a terrific development pathway to manage internal and external audits through the platform. And CyberComply, because of the nature of the platform, will go way further than just GDPR and ISO 27001. It will give you access to a whole range of other frameworks and standards, all as part of the same relatively straightforward user pricing. And it's a tool which is designed to enable a small compliance and security team to manage an increasingly complex cybersecurity and privacy environment in an organization of pretty well any size. So that's a kind of summary of everything which each of these blocks that you see on the slide in front of you is setting out. CyberComply, and you can, when you get the slides, we'll be sending them out to everybody registered on the webinar. If you go onto the CyberComply website, it's a vigilance software platform. You'll be able to click through from the slides. You can have a good look at the tool. You can arrange to get a demo. You can even get a free trial and see how it works for you. And, bear in mind that CyberComply is like all platforms. It requires some effort to get set up, but all of the benefit comes down the years when your data protection officer changes or is off ill or on holiday. You don't need to have somebody else drafted in who can understand what she or he was doing, because it's on the platform. All of your data, all of your information processes, what you're required to do is there on the platform in a way that enables you to manage it seamlessly and effectively on a month in, month out basis. So take a look at CyberComply. It should be, for all organizations, increasingly the basis, the core platform on which you sit all of your compliance activities. It enables you to integrate cybersecurity and privacy, and do so in a way that enables a small compliance team to deliver cost-effective, value-adding compliance services to the business. So CyberComply, one key area to look at. There are a number of other areas in which IT governance and GRCI law can help you tackle EuroPrivacy compliance. So obviously, we can help you with implementation. We can help you using the platform. That takes time and effort out of the exercise. We can help you do it any other way, but we can, with EuroPrivacy accredited consultants, come and help you gap analysis, work out what you need to do, because of course you're already largely GDPR compliant. It's how clear that is, how well documented it is. Do a gap analysis, put in place a plan that helps you take it forward. We can do the penetration testing, which EuroPrivacy requires. EuroPrivacy, very specific that part of your technical and organizational measures, you should be testing using accredited penetration testers to ensure your internet-facing assets are secure, and it's not possible for hackers, for ransomware organizations to get in and expose personal data. We can, through our much broader range of GDPR services, gap analysis, implementation, audit, and so on, help you train, manage your people, help you deploy, implement, manage GDPR across the organization as a whole. And of course, we can audit both internally for you as part of your own ongoing compliance activities. We can do supply chain audits. So all of the kinds of activities which you as an organization might need as part of your own GDPR route, we can provide. And at the heart of that is the Data Protection Officer as a Service available through GRCI law, which enables you to, on an outsourced basis, have a data protection officer who meets the requirements around deep expertise, but also independence from those who are making decisions about the means and purpose of data processing. Do get in touch with us. There are lots and lots of ways we can help you. You can get hold of IT governance, and through IT governance, all of our supporting group companies in the EU, in the UK, and in the US. All of the details are on the slide, as you can see there, which brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to kind of neatly around about 45 minutes into the point 4Q. And so if you do have questions, we've got some time now available to answer questions. Please, in the question function, which is in your GoToWebinar dashboard, please go to the question panel. You click on that, you can type a question in there. And what we'll do is I'll give you a couple of minutes to put questions in there, and then I'll turn to those and I'll pick out the questions in order. I'll share the question with you all, and then Loredana or I, or both of us, will answer it. So hopefully that will enable you to make good progress. The one question I see that I can answer very easily: will we get the slides? Yes, all of the slides and the recording will be made available to everybody who was on this webinar within the next 48 hours or so. So you'll be able to, everybody will be able to get them. So while I just take some refreshment quickly, do add any questions you would like to. How relevant will EuroPrivacy be to UK GDPR? As I noticed, UK was not mentioned at the start. We are a company that do not deal with too many European clients and mostly only need to comply with UK GDPR. Loredana, do you want to make an initial answer of that?
Yes. So for the moment, we are on a status where the legislation is under review at the UK level, but we do have basically the same standards than in the European Union. So the EuroPrivacy certification is of course of relevance, and there are dialogues with the ICO in order to maintain the EuroPrivacy certification that will be adapted to changes that may be introduced in the future. So it is of relevance also for UK-based business.
Thank you. So in other words, yes, it's relevant to you because of the extension. You can demonstrate compliance to UK GDPR as well as EU GDPR, all in one easy certificate. Can we get slides? Do you certify DPO consultancy organizations? So for clarity, we are a consultancy business. We don't do GDPR certification at all. EuroPrivacy certification is done by such stalwarts of the certification industry as BSI and others who are accredited certification bodies. There is a separation between certification and consultancy support. We are a specialist consultant and supporter. So EuroPrivacy will work for any organization that has a DPO. if you have your own DPO appointed because the DPO is in charge of data protection in your organization, then you can be eligible for EuroPrivacy certification. I don't know whether that really answers the question that you asked. If not, please ask it a different way. Ballpark costs for pre-assessment and assessment is a fair question. It does depend very much on the size of your organization, the number of countries in which you're operating, the number of processes that you want to have included in the assessment. So can I suggest that you email us directly immediately after that, or if not, we'll make contact with you and we can give you a direct personal indication. If you can give us a bit more information, give you a direct personal indication of what the costs may be for that process for you. The organization I work for delivers a range of GRC consultancy services to customers. Would we be able to help and work with organizations to help them achieve EuroPrivacy certification? The answer is that you can probably do whatever you would like to do. It's as the European Union recognizes a free market, but in terms of using EuroPrivacy tools, you have to be a recognized EuroPrivacy partner. To do that, you need to make contact directly with the EuroPrivacy organization. They have a process you have to go through to demonstrate your knowledge and competence to become an accredited partner. IT governance obviously is, or GRCI, IT governance, GRCI law is an accredited global EuroPrivacy partner. It took us quite a long time to be accepted into the plan, but I believe that's open to any organization to do it. But our expectation is that most clients who want to get help will look for organizations who are recognized by EuroPrivacy as having the necessary expertise to do that. Can you give us a clue of how many companies are already certified under EuroPrivacy? And assuming there are countries more advanced than others, which ones are leading the way? And so, Loredana, you may have a view. My view is that we don't really know. The privacy standard has only been available for about 3 months or so in practical terms. So most organizations are still in the early phases of certification, better understanding of development in terms of certifications than I do.
Yes, I agree. For the moment, we do not have statistics in terms of how many businesses have been had the data processing activities certified, and it is a new process. Stakeholders have to be certified themselves, so we are basically starting with the certification.
So from a commercial point of view, depending on your approach, this is an outstanding opportunity to get ahead of all of your competitors and be one of the first organizations in your sector or region or country to be EuroPrivacy certified. We think that being able to demonstrate conclusively that you are GDPR compliant can remove big chunks of costs from commercial processes and help win more business very efficiently. Just to make sure I understood, you get people ready for certification, someone else does the certification. Yes, that is correct. So just as with ISO 27001 or any ISO standard, those consultants who help you prepare for certification cannot also do the certification. There's a kind of problem of marking your own homework. So we as a business focus on helping organizations prepare and stay compliant. And you go to organizations that don't provide any support on how to prepare, and they do the certification. They do an independent assessment of your compliance to the standard, issue a certificate, and then continue to do independent surveillance audits thereafter. That's kind of, it looks as though the last of the questions. Does anybody else have a final question before we wrap up for the evening? So, yes, we do. Why is it that some European countries are so particular and too stringent with regards to considering GDPR? Experience more stringent with our Finland experience more stringent with our Finland than France. You're saying France is more stringent than Finland, I think. Well, technically, I understand. Taking into account the criteria, so right. The different countries do take slightly different approaches to enforcing GDPR. Remember, the enforcement of GDPR is in the hands of the national supervisory authority. So CNIL in France, for instance, and there certainly are different cultural approaches, if you like, to enforcing compliance in different countries. The reality is that for many organizations, they try and choose, therefore, to, particularly if they're trading across multiple countries, to be registered like the regulator. That's why so many American companies, or one of the reasons why so many American companies are based in Ireland, because the Irish authority tends to have a reputation for being slightly less harsh than, for instance, CNIL or perhaps any one of the federal German supervisory authorities. In theory, it's the same law across the whole of the European Union. So in theory, if you have the time and money, if you feel you're being harshly treated in one country, you can appeal the decision. And there is some evidence that appealing unfair decisions will be successful, but those are local challenges. Another person's question, taking into account the criteria for certification, DPO requirement, I wonder if DPO specialist consultancies automatically qualify? No, you don't automatically qualify because you provide DPO services. You have to apply, and you're only eligible to apply if you as an organization have a DPO. So if you're a DPO specialist consultancy and one of those DPOs is also a DPO for your organization, assuming the independence of the DPO, then you might be eligible to apply. But no, the very fact of being a DPO consultancy doesn't give you any special eligibility either to be a EuroPrivacy partner or to be certified or anything else. That's kind of where it starts. My company in South Africa has operations in Finland and France. I'm assuming that's SA, Republic of South Africa. And so if Finland is an easier place to register, then go for Finland. I can't give you much more advice than that, but if you want to talk to us separately about GDPR compliance across Europe, we're very happy to do that. We can give you an EU representative office in Ireland. We have that service available through GRCI laws. There are a number of ways in which, depending on the services you offer and what you have to do, we can help you avoid some of the more complex compliance components. If you like, we'll reach out to you separately after the webinar. I think at that point, I will say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all for joining the webinar today. I hope it has been useful to you. You may well have more questions. Please do pick up the phone, send us an email, do any one of those things. We're very happy to talk to you in more detail about how you can become EuroPrivacy compliant and how we can help you do that. It's certainly a commercially sensible and beneficial approach to take. So thank you all for being with us today. Please do join us on another one webinars. We offer webinars on a regular multi-week basis through the year. Thank you all for being here. Have a very good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.